Hey folks, it's Tommy Cook here. I want to thank you again for letting me borrow $5 last week. I promise I'm going to get that back to you as soon as possible. We're back for another edition, round number 6 of the Retro Racing Roundup. I can't believe it's been 6 episodes already. Truly an unrivaled run. I don't think any show has ever gone 6 episodes before, so happy to be the first, and truly and blessed, just absolutely blessed to be 6 episodes into the Retro Racing Roundup. Thank you all very much, though, actually, for the support. Today, it is time for one of the all-time great NASCAR comebacks in history, the 2005 Advance Auto Parts 500 from Martinsville Speedway. This was nominated in the YouTube comments by Garrett Rainey. Thank you very much, Garrett. And it was voted on by the general populace of the Turn 200 fandom in our Turn 200 Discord server. So if you have a race that you want to see here on the Retro Racing Roundup going forward, be sure to leave it in the comments or in the Retro Racing Roundup channel on our Discord server. The link for that is in the description below. So come and hang out with us and join in on the fun. But we've got some fun for you right now that you can join in on, and it's going to start right now. Again, now for the third time. Yes, of course. Here we go, here we go, here we go. It is April 10th, 2005, and it is pretty hot in April for Martinsville, Virginia, right around 81 degrees. Ready for the 6th race of the 2005 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series season. Of course, Martinsville is the barely banked paperclip, half-mile long that we all know and love, but the previous week at Bristol, Kevin Harvick became the 5th different winner in just 5 races this season. Seems like a lot of the drivers this season are really ebbing and flowing. Kevin Harvick, who got the win last week at Bristol, is 6th in the points coming into Martinsville. Jeff Gordon, who won the Daytona 500 to kick off the season, is outside of the top 10 in points, down in P12. So it's not been a good stretch for Jeff Gordon after winning the Great American Race. Other drivers, Greg Biffle has won at California. Carl Edwards got his very first career win in thrilling fashion at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And the constant in all of this, talking about drivers that are ebbing and flowing, Jimmie Johnson is not ebbing and flowing. Jimmie Johnson, of course, not yet a Cup Series champion. Soon to change, but not in 2005. But all that to say is that Jimmie Johnson has not finished worse than 6th at all this season coming into Martinsville. He's been doing a really good job. He's sort of building himself up to be the championship favorite of 2005 and is doing a fantastic job. Will that continue? We'll have to see. Honestly, it's pretty early in the season, so there aren't going to be like a whole lot of newsworthy things going on at this point, and there aren't in 2005. The previous day, Bobby Labonte won the Truck Series race at Martinsville to become just the 12th driver in NASCAR history to win in all 3 of the top divisions of NASCAR. Of course, the Trucks, the Busch Series, and now the Nextel Cup Series, or I should say now the Truck Series as well. He is now, out of those 12 drivers, he is the only one of them to have won a race in all 3 divisions at the same track. He has won in each division at Martinsville, a feat that has since been replicated but had not been up to this point. So really impressive stuff from Bobby Labonte. Sterling Marlin in his pre-race interview this day, April 10th, 2005, says, and I quote, I am 99% sure I am not coming back to Chip Ganassi Racing. They will not be renewing my contract for the future, end quote. Spoiler alert, unfortunately, he is right. And I don't want to jump too far ahead into today's video because we'll talk plenty about Sterling Marlin today. But so far, his 2005 is actually going pretty well. But unfortunately, after this race, almost immediately after this race, his season is going to fall off a freaking cliff. He is going to finish down in 30th and no contract renewal for Sterling Marlin. It is a rough deal for Sterling, who I think pretty much everybody knows at this point in real time in 2005 that this is probably the twilight of his career. Unfortunately, this just goes to sort of solidify that. And the final point to touch on here, it's the most notable one coming into this race, and it's awful. This is the first return trip to Martinsville since the Hendrick Motorsports plane crash that occurred in Martinsville in the fall 2004 race. If you're not aware, Hendrick Motorsports, they owned a Beechcraft Super King Air 200 It crashed into Bull Mountain around Stewart, Virginia. Right around the time that the race was set to begin, NASCAR got word officially from, I'm not sure if they got it from Hendrick Motorsports or the FAA or whatever, but NASCAR got word that the plane had crashed about halfway through the Cup Series race. All post-race ceremonies were canceled, and it just so happened that Jimmy Johnson happened to win that race, the Subway 500. And, of course, Jimmy Johnson then and I guess now in 2005 driving for Hendrick Motorsports wins that race. On board the plane was Rick Hendrick's son, Ricky, Rick's brother, John, who is also the president of Hendrick Motorsports, as well as John's daughters, Kimberly and Jennifer, the Hendrick GM, Jeff Turner, Tony Stewart's personal helicopter pilot, Scott Latham, DuPont executive Joe Jackson, and Hendrick Motorsports chief engine builder Randy Dorton, as well as the two pilots of the plane. Not only did this really rock NASCAR to its core, as you can imagine, but this is an unimaginable loss of life for anybody, let alone Rick Hendrick. 4 members of his family gone in an instant. The return, a return trip to Martinsville was not in the plans for this particular race. But it's a track that means a whole lot to Rick Hendrick, so maybe that helped make the decision that he actually was going to attend this race today, and you will see him towards the end of the race in attendance and with all the crew and everybody. And it's I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine. One final point to make here: there has been a lot of attrition so far in 2005. New tire regulations as well as Goodyear, and as well as some changes to the front end, new shifter mounts as well onto the transmissions. A lot of breakdowns, a lot of tire failures up to this point in 2005. Just get ready for a lot of broken down shit today. We are live in 480p standard definition on Fox. This is the first time in retro race and Roundup history that we're not on ESPN, and that means we have the goated booth trio. I will not hear it. I won't hear it. The goated booth trio. Yes, Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds. And I caught myself thinking throughout the course of watching this and then watching it again and watching it again, man, these guys sound so invigorated. They sound like they're 20 years younger. And it's like, oh, they are literally almost 20 years younger. This race is 18 years old now. Oh, my God. Oh, this race can vote, folks. This race can vote. Your pole sitter for today is Scott Riggs, driving for MB2 Motorsports in the Valvoline 10 car. A fun fact that I didn't know until I was doing the research for this video, he's actually not listed as driving for MB2 Motorsports. Scott Riggs, the team is technically listed as MBV Motorsports. The V stands for Valvoline. They actually bought a controlling stake of the 10 car. That's why Valvoline is always on this 10 car, even when it makes the transition from MB2 when they close up shop and sell to Evernham. Valvoline stays on this 10 car because they've bought a controlling stake in it. This is Riggs' second year in the Cup Series up to this point. This is his first of what would end up being 3 career poles. He would actually sweep the poles in 2006 at Charlotte. He won for both the 600 and the 500. He's had a really back-and-forth 2005 thus far. 3 top 10s, including a 4th-place finish in the Daytona 500, but 2 DNFs as well on top of that. So not been the most consistent year for Scott Riggs thus far in 2005. And on the outside pole, as the field is coming to green, we've got Rocket Man Ryan Newman, no stranger to the front row, especially in the early portion of his career. And here we go. We're coming to the green flag for 500 laps at the paperclip. Turns 1 and 2 are uneventful, but Scott Riggs is going to lose the rear end and slide up the track into Ryan Newman. That gives the lead to Jeremy Mayfield, who is running in 3rd. Next time by, Newman has a tire going down, but he decides to just stop in turn 4 to bring out a caution. How convenient. He'll be held in the pits for a lap because of this. Also, while this is happening, Scott Wimmer in the Bill Davis 22 car also hits pit road because he is already blowing up after a mile of racing. And this gets brought up on commentary as well. Darrell Waltrip is astounded that so many cars are running like almost full tape. And, you know, sometimes now, especially now, you would think, oh, well, you know, you can't touch the cars after qualifying, so they're all taped up for qualifying, and now they have to find ways to get the tape off of them. But no, they didn't impound the cars after qualifying here. They had like 8 hours after the end of happy hour practice, which comes after qualifying, to fiddle around with the tape on these cars. And you'll see so many guys complaining about overheating and coming in right away to get the tape off. Like, why did you put so much tape on your car? It doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Junior made contact with Elliott Sadler sometime in the first couple of laps, and he hits pit road to make sure that the wheels are clear of the fenders and to check the toe out on the front. Single file restarts here look absolutely goofy. Look how far back 42nd place is. Because Ryan Newman is the only car one lap down, he could pull right up to the front, and we take green on lap number 9 with Jeremy Mayfield in control of the field. He's only able to run another full 3 laps as Jeff Green will bring out caution number 2 on lap number 12 with a solo unassisted spin in the Petty Enterprises number 43. We cut to commercial under caution, and whoever uploaded this race left a few commercial breaks in, and the titular sponsor of the race gets the first ad, Advanced Auto Parts. They are using a horrible Hootie and the Blowfish knockoff band for their commercial.
For the best parts, people and prices were ready in advance.
We come back for break, and we are under green already. Okie dokie. That won't be the last time this happens today. Why? Why are we doing that? That is so bad. Mayfield is still the leader here on lap 18. Ryan Newman got the free pass, but decided to pit under the caution and went down the lap he just got back. Yeah, makes sense of that. So he is still having to fight to get back on the lead lap again. Lap 26, and Rusty Wallace pulls up onto the scene of Jeremy Mayfield. 2003, 2004 for Rusty Wallace, pretty lackluster. He has made it known. He announced in August of 2004 that the 2005 season was going to be his last in NASCAR. And just knowing that, 2005, he's actually kind of turned it on. He'll end up making the chase in 2005. Like, he's running actually pretty well, so not a total shock to see him running up front here, despite the fact that he is on his way out of the sport. As we go to break on lap 35, Rusty is closing in. When we come back on lap 47, he is there. But just as Rusty is about to lay the bumper in, we cut to Jeff Gordon, running just outside of the top 10, who says he has a loose wheel. He is going to go 3 laps down on this unscheduled pit stop. And while this is happening, Rusty takes the lead before lap 50. That is 3 different leaders here, 10% of the way through this race. Just ahead of Rusty is Jimmy Johnson, who is running 33rd after starting 31st. Remember, Jimmy won here the last time we were at Martinsville, and he has not finished worse than 6th so far this season. So this car needs some freaking work, to say the least. Lap 56, we have our first flat right front tire. It's on Johnny Sauter in the Phoenix Racing 09 car. We are still green, though, at least for another half a lap, as Dale Jarrett is going to dump Carl Edwards. Now the third caution will fly. Also under the caution, Michael Waltrip has a right front tire go flat. He coincidentally is going to get the free pass as well. Here comes most of the leaders to pit road. Mayfield has to work around Jason Leffler's 11 car, so he will drop the second position to Bobby Labonte off of pit road. Restart on lap 67, and Matt Kenseth, who is in the free pass position, is beating and banging with the race leader Rusty Wallace. We only make it another lap and a half before Carl Edwards is around for the second time. 4th caution of the day already. Carl says that he lost the power steering, and as he rolls up the track and kisses Hermie Sadler. How gentle. Hermie definitely could have wound up here, but Edwards also should have probably locked the brakes down, so who's to say who's really at fault? Under the caution here, Jeff Gordon's crew chief Robbie Loomis thinks they have a hub problem on the right front tire. He is currently 3 laps down, and if this problem persists, they are going straight to the garage. They had similar problems, albeit after, I believe, an accident at Bristol last week, which resulted in a 15th place finish, where they finished 2 laps down. Mike Joy also brings up on commentary later that Jeff Gordon has never gone to the garage at Martinsville, which is an incredible streak. Of course, we all know how good Jeff Gordon is, but we all know how cruel Martinsville can be sometimes. So the fact that in all these years, Jeff Gordon has never been even to the garage in the middle of a cup race at Martinsville is astounding, really. Restarting again on lap 78, we're clean up front. Tony Stewart is making some noise underneath of Kevin Harvick. Jeff Gordon also follows him through the gap. Dave Blaney in the 07 car has a right front go flat, but limps it to pit road, and we're going to stay green. But lap 88, we are under caution for the 5th time as Jeff Green decides to dump Michael Waltrip after Michael slots himself into line, and we're not done with this saga yet. This will give the free pass finally to Ryan Newman, who is going to take it this time. Restart on lap 94. Jeff Gordon passes Rusty Wallace to move himself to 2 laps down. That opens the door for Bobby Labonte to move to the lead. As Rusty is trying to get into line for second, look out. Here comes Tony Stewart, absolutely full sending it to the inside of Rusty. 3 wide for third with Mayfield on the outside. He is the big loser in that exchange. What a move by Smoke. And Tony is on the march. His teammate Bobby Labonte knows it too. Bobby moves over for Tony on lap 117, and Tony is now the leader. We go to break on lap 124 and come back under caution for the 6th time already. Good God. Dave Blaney cut down another right front tire. This time stops out on track on lap 130. Look at these tires that are coming off these cars. They are absolutely disgusting. Jimmy Johnson is going to get the free pass. Tony brings pretty much everybody down pit road. I say pretty much everybody because Robbie Gordon has elected to stay out under the caution, and he brings the field to green. Jeff Gordon gets another lap back here as Tony works underneath of Robbie to regain the top spot during the crank it up. Robbie, of course, in his first season as an owner driver in the Cup Series anyway, he is kind of having a rough go of things. He has 2 DNQs and 3 finishes outside of the top 30. In his first 5 attempts as an owner driver. So Robbie staying out, leading a couple of laps here, gives him a couple of extra bonus points. It's all very helpful in this owner point standing sort of thing. Dave Blaney has another flat right front tire and will bring it back to the pits. Just put that fucking car out of its misery. On his 25th birthday, Casey Kane is on the march forward. He started back in 35th. By lap 150, he is knocking on the door of the top 10. Mike Bliss in the net 0-0 is running 8th as well. Great run for that group. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is in the Tide Ride, and he says he is blowing up. Lap 156, Rusty gets past Labonte for second and is trying to reel in the race leader. Next lap by, Jeremy Mayfield moves past Bobby as well. We go to break, and when we come back, Jeff Burton is making his way off pit road after having a loose wheel. Lap 172, and Mike Joyce says that Tony is approaching a good group of cars, and the first person he brings up in that group is Jeff Green in the 43, who has already brought out 2 cautions. If you think Stingray Rob is a cool name, how about Fatback McSwain, the crew chief for Ricky Rudd in the Wood Brothers 21 car? Rudd is moving up to challenge Labonte for the 4th spot. Jimmy Johnson is going to go 1 lap down for the 2nd time today on lap 176. Lap 182, and it's the biggest wreck of the day. Greg Biffle has a right rear tire go down on him, spins out, and can openers Brian Vickers. Bobby Labonte gets a piece of the action as well. Here comes everybody to pit road. Tony's crew gets hung up on the left rear, but he still wins the race off of pit road. Rusty comes out in 2nd, but gets nabbed for speeding and has to restart at the tail. Jeff Gordon is 1 lap down now on the inside line as we come to lap 169. Tony and Jeremy get out ahead of Jeff Green. Kurt Busch is now in the 3rd position. The reigning Nextel Cup Series champion hasn't made a whole lot of noise up to this point. That's not always a bad thing. His title defense has started really well with 3 consecutive podiums. But is coming off of back-to-back finishes outside of the top 30 after those 3 consecutive podium finishes. So he would love to hold on to a spot in the top 5 here. Lap 204, and Jeremy Mayfield goes back up to the top spot. We get an update on Scott Riggs. He is back in 20th, so it's not been a good day for Scott Riggs despite the P1 start. As the battle for the lead subsides, Dale Jr. clobbers the left front off of the back of Mike Bliss's car and says that he is going to blow a tire within the next 2 laps. That is a direct quote. So Jr. then proceeds to not pit again until the next caution comes out. That's a big brain play, but I do get it because if he pits under the green, his race would essentially be over. There's no way anybody could come back from being 2 or 3 laps down and come away with a good finish. It can't happen. Don't pit under the green to fix your problem. You won't get a good finish. We come back from break on lap 222, and 2 laps later, we're in the thick of a battle for the lead. Tony goes back up to the front on lap 225, 10th lead change of the race already. We skip ahead now to the cross flags, and Kenny Schrader has a flat right front and is damn near stopped in turn 4, but of course there's no caution. 3 laps later, Joe Nemechek will have a right front blowout in nearly the exact same spot, and now the caution is out. If the caution had come out when Ken Schrader stopped, Jeff Gordon would have been back on the lead lap. Instead, Kyle Petty is going to get the free pass. Pit stop's underway. Tony wins the race off of pit road again. Kevin Harvick cannot get the car refired. The crew will push the car all the way to the curve before the ailing Dave Blaney machine will try and push that car back into gear, but with no success. Kevin Harvick's day is over. Restart on lap 263. Tony gets away pretty cleanly. Nothing really happening until about lap 275 when we have a big stack up with Sterling Marlin getting turned around. Darrell Waltrip is having a little too much fun in the booth.
That's what you call chain. And I won't say the rest of it.
They're showing Jeff Gordon there because he will get the free pass and get back onto the lead lap. He just got 3 laps back. 3 laps in about 200 laps of racing. That is absurd. And only one of those came from the lucky dog. The other 2, he made legitimate passes on the leaders. So, wow. Only about 7 cars coming to pit here under the caution, none of them from the lead. We restart with Tony Stewart in front of Jeremy Mayfield on lap 262. We make it about 2 laps, and then Junior has a right rear tire let go on him, and we are under caution again. Coming to the lap 289 restart, and the lead lap line stacks up big time. I don't know how nobody goes around here. It's really impressive. Top 5 is Stewart, Mayfield, Kurt Busch, Bobby Labonte, and Mark Martin, who has not made any adjustments to his car so far today and has been riding just outside of the top 5 most of today. It is going from bad to worse for pole sitter Scott Riggs. He is having voltage issues now. Lap 301, and it is the first mention of the fact that rookie Kyle Busch is in the field today. He is just outside of the top 10, but he has just knocked a hole in the radiator. He'll be in the garage before too much longer. Looking back a few more positions behind Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon is on the move. We go to break and come back to Dave Blaney back on pit road on lap 316. What? This car is desperately trying just to be done for the day. You know what? I don't blame it. Lap 322, and Michael Waltrip finally gets his revenge on Jeff Green. Third caution on the 43 car alone. We still aren't done with Jeff Green yet. Jimmy Johnson will be back on the lead lap now. On the race off pit road, Tony Stewart wins easily, but Jeremy Mayfield drops 2 spots, moving Labonte and Kurt Busch up a spot each. We come back from commercial under green again. Why? It's lap 333 now. Tony Stewart is out by the biggest gap of the day. Jeff Gordon is in the top 10 now and trying to get around Casey Kane for 7th. Not sure what happened to Jeremy Mayfield, but he is now outside of the top 10. 153 laps to go. Robbie Gordon gets into the wall out of turn 4, but it's not a cut tire, so that's good news. No caution. A lap after this, Jeff Gordon gets past Jason Leffler in the FedEx number 11 for 6th, and that is how we send it to break. When we return, Jeremy Mayfield has just made it off of pit road after cutting a right front tire. Mayfield is now 3 laps down. Things calm down here for quite a few laps, but with 113 laps to go, Kyle Petty goes for a spin with a blown-out right rear tire and brings out our 12th caution. The carcass comes off, gets run over by Jason Leffler, who's been in the top 10 for most of the day, but after this, Leffler will not be back in the top 10 again. So Tony Stewart has been absolutely spanking the field here since about the halfway mark of the race, but Tony comes out 4th as Bobby Labonte will regain the top spot. 106 laps to go. Labonte is trying to fight off Kurt Busch to hang on to the lead. With 100 to go, Kurt will finally take that spot. Bobby seems to be rolling over here, but that is because Bobby has just dropped a cylinder, and that is sort of par for the course for 2005 for Bobby Labonte. In what will be his final season with Joe Gibbs. That is the 3rd driver, like the 3rd legacy driver with their most recognizable car owner, that 2005 is going to be their last season with. I just talked about Sterling Marlin, Rusty Wallace, and now Bobby Labonte as well. It's his final season with Joe Gibbs in the 18 car. He will only notch 8 top 10 finishes all season, and he will finish 24th in the standings. That is a crappy final season for Bobby in his most iconic ride. We go to commercial and come back and are talking about random nonsense for almost 3 minutes before they say, oh yeah, by the way, we're currently under caution. Like, all right, thanks guys. Dale Jarrett had a flat tire to bring out the 13th caution of the day. Huzzah. 91 laps to go for the restart, and Kurt and Mark are pulling away from the field as Tony is stuck behind his teammate Bobby, who is still trying to limp this thing home. 84 laps to go. Kurt and Mark are so far out that Kurt will actually let Mark go by to pick up some bonus points and will now retake the lead right back. 80 laps to go. Jeff Gordon is going to get past Rusty Wallace now for 4th. Now some problems for Tony Stewart as Tony reports a vibration, and I'd say he was probably onto something here. 14th caution of the race, 68 laps to go. The leaders are on pit road. Kurt and Mark come out side by side. Kurt wins the race off of pit road. Jeff Gordon comes out in 3rd. On 40-lap old tires here, Sterling Marlin, Ryan Newman, and Elliott Sadler are the top 3, with Kurt and Mark back in 4th and 5th on the restart. Newman gets away for the time being. Kurt is trying to get this pass for a 3rd done on the outside for about 3 laps on Sadler, but finally will cross him over and get the pass done. Martin and Gordon follow him through a few laps later. Jeff Burton is beating and banging on Ryan Newman to get a lap back here, which allows Sterling Marlin to close up for the lead. Kurt Busch pulls up on this mess and overcooks a corner entry, opening the door for Mark to go up to 3rd. Next time by, Kurt and Jeff are jockeying for the same real estate into turn 3, and whoopsies. Kurt decides to pull out of line and pull up to the pace car before coming into pit, so that is going to cost him a lap. So Newman and Marlin are still in 1st and 2nd on these old-ass tires. Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon 3rd and 4th on fresher tires. 46 laps to go. We go 2 laps under green before Jeff Green spins it out again, this time off of Rusty's front bumper. No caution, though, and I'm glad to say that's the last time I get to bring up Jeff Green today. 2 laps after this, Sterling Marlin will get around Ryan Newman for the lead. Newman will instantly drop to 4th. 37 to go, and Jeff will look underneath of Mark for the 2nd spot and take it with ease. Next time into 3, here goes Jeff underneath of Sterling for the race lead, and he takes it. Jeff Gordon was 3 laps down. 3 laps down. 3 laps down. And now he's the race leader with 36 laps to go. That is how we send it to commercial. We come back, and Sterling and Mark are beating the absolute dog shit out of one another for 2nd place, and that is going to allow Casey Kane now to move up to P2. 22 laps to go. Kurt Busch is now in Jeff Gordon's path to victory. Uh-oh. Kurt throws everything but a straight line at him. Casey is going to close in on him a little bit, but the gap isn't quite shrinking enough, and as the laps start to wind down, it is very apparent that Jeff Gordon is going to... scratch that. We have a caution with 10 laps to go now. Poor rookie Travis Quapple has his motor let go. We are going to have a dash to the finish here, and somebody is excited.
Not come.
We are coming to the restart with 3 laps to go, and Casey Kane says that Jeff Gordon has a soft left rear tire. Not sure if it's actually going down or if it just, came out onto the track with like 2 pounds of air in it, like most of the left tires would do. Jeff has a great restart here. Casey gets away cleanly from Mark as well. Casey's going to dig hard, but is going to come up short as Jeff Gordon goes from being 3 laps down to winning an emotional 6th career Martinsville Cup Series victory. It is his 71st win of his career. What an unbelievable drive from Jeff Gordon. When he gets out of the car in victory lane, he apologizes to Kurt Busch for the contact and then states how much this win means to him and his team with everything that happened here last fall. We get an interview from Casey Kane as well as he scores his 6th career runner-up finish. He's not gone to victory lane yet, mind you, but he has 6 runner-up finishes. But he would actually get his first career victory just, I think, 3 weeks after this at Richmond. So he doesn't have to wait much longer to get it. That we'll get to here on the train is understandably an emotional one with Rick Hendrick. Mike Joy is shaken by his words as well, and that is how we're going to leave the 2005 Advance Auto Parts 500 at Martinsville. I personally feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this race does not get talked about at all. And that's kind of a damn shame. There's some more memorable Jeff Gordon moments at Martinsville, and you could probably think of a couple off the top of your head, good or bad. But maybe there shouldn't be, to be honest. This man was 3 laps down. Only got 1 lucky dog, so he legitimately, without gimmick, got 2 of his laps back. Probably would have got the third one. Maybe would not have had enough time to move up through the field. But regardless, he drove up through the field once he got 3 laps back and won the damn race. What an incredible day for Jeff Gordon. All right, so let's get to the rating here. I've been very publicly on the record of saying I am not a huge Martinsville fan as a whole, but if every race had racing like this, I think I would like it a lot more. I think the attrition of it all certainly helped a little bit, and it allowed more of a revolving door of people throughout the race to sort of come into play, so that helps. 3 of the 5 people who finished in the top 5 were at least 1 lap down, if not 2 or 3 laps down. I'll let you pick out who that was because I haven't said it 69 times today in this video. Jimmy Johnson as well was 1 lap down 2 different times and finishes in 8th place, I believe. So, just some fantastic driving from a lot of these guys who had to battle back from crappy circumstances. So, Casey Kane also started outside of the top 30 as well. I'm just naming more reasons why I think the race itself was pretty incredible. So I think an 8.5 out of 10 here is completely reasonable. Good stuff all around. For the finish itself, of course, it was going to take like a bonsai move from Casey Kane to sort of get it done, to get Gordon out of it. And he either wasn't in range to do that or wasn't willing to do it. My guess probably he wasn't willing to do it. So not the greatest finish of all time. 5 out of 10. Memorability, like I said, sadly, kind of another 5 out of 10. Maybe I'm hanging in the wrong circles here, but especially as time marches on, and now out of the 43 drivers who started this race, or the 48 that attempted it, only 2 of them are currently active drivers in the sport right now. As time sort of marches on, this race has just seemed to fall out of the fold a little bit, which is too bad. For historical significance, though, it's one of the last great come-from-behind, without too much gimmick aid victories, and it's also one of the great team triumphs for a team that went through so much, just so much. So I can give this one a 7.5 and feel good about myself. Not that any score that I could give this would ever do what this did for Rick and the team any sort of justice at all, because this just had to be incredible. Yeah, 26 out of 40. You guys just keep the hits on coming, so thank you very much. Thank you for choosing races that are actually enjoyable. Enjoyable to watch. Now there's some on the list right now that are not enjoyable, that I'm going to have a bad time with, but we haven't randomly selected those and voted for them yet. So if you have more races that you would like to be dissected and analyzed in the Retro Racing Roundup in a future edition, be sure to leave them in the comments or join our Discord server. Leave them in the Retro Racing Roundup Discord channel. And there is no vote this week. I'm sure a couple of you, like 1 or 2 people, probably noticed that there was not a vote this week. I'm taking the upcoming week off. I have a very busy week, and then of course, if you're watching this in the future, you're not watching it in real time chronologically. It doesn't matter, but very busy week coming up at the speedway that I work for. Also, we have the start of Venom Truck Series Season 6 coming up, and I have some work and some homework I need to do for that. And I'm also going to be starting work on a special edition of the Roundup that will be coming out soon, that I probably need a little bit of extra time for. So that is what this off week is going to be devoted for, or devoted towards, I guess. But there will be a vote in this off week for edition number 7. I don't know what it is yet. We will have to see. Maybe we'll start racking up a couple of more recommendations, and we'll have a nice big long list to choose from. So we will be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully you can hold yourself together until we can meet again here in the Retro Racing Roundup. But thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you did, and if not, there's future opportunities to do that as well. So until we meet again here on another edition of the Retro Racing Roundup, I've been Tommy Cook, and thank you for watching on Turn 200. We'll catch you in the next one.